Today I did a push dominant workout. As you can see, I started out with some wide grip shoulder press, doing 10 reps of 4 sets. This made me think, oh my god, this one was special. This really hit my shoulders with a really insane tension. Over the years the overhead press has been my go-to exercise, but I'm quite unfamiliar with this one actually. This is the one variation of the shoulder press movement that I really haven't explored. And I think it's because I really never saw it as a different variation. I saw it merely as a possible approach that some people preferred when they perform the ordinary press. I've experimented with a lot of different variations of the overhead press, but this one hasn't been incorporated to my program before. But now it is. And I'm really excited about it. I do think this exercise is being ignored and actually acts as a quite controversial matter because the injury risks are far higher if you perform it without caution, that is. And I do think this is the case mostly if you overdo it with the grip width, if you really do this with a super wide grip. And as you can see here, I only increased my grip width with a little bit, just to target my shoulders a little more. And I must say, it feels great, feels really great, because as I said, I really feel the muscle connection to my shoulders here, a lot more than in my overhead press. And I also feel weaker in it. I do think that this is because it's a new movement for me. It's a matter of unusual stimuli and experience, but also it is about addressing some imbalance here. This got me thinking, is my triceps taking over in the overhead press? This is no news if they were, because the overhead press is being performed within a more narrow grip width, and my triceps is being quite dominant actually in strength, so they will be more activated, but is it possible that they're that much stronger in relation to my shoulders and upper back? Could be. Sounds crazy to say that my shoulders are weak, and they don't necessarily are, but in relation to my triceps they could be displayed as such. So I'm gonna try it out. I mean, this also got me into the discussion of carryover. If I can practice and get this variation to the strength standards of my ordinary press right now, I have no doubt it will affect my overhead press strength greatly due to creating more balance and stability in my strength, especially within this movement. Now, that's a quite fitting transition to what I wanted to discuss here today. Variation and specialization. How important is it to incorporate different variations of a particular movement? How important is it to specialize and practice a lift as effective as possible? My both personal and professional thoughts about this comes down to the same answer. Specialization is more important. Listen, I do think it's really important to include different variations in your workouts. This does a lot. You need this. But specialization type of training will still win this one because it's about performing a movement as effective as possible. Focus on the movement, not the muscle. Please don't forget about the muscle though, of course, but when it comes to especially getting stronger, this is the takeaway. This is why I want to highlight the value of both of these factors. You need both for a balanced development in your both strength and physique performance. But when we're discussing this or that type of questions, I do think specialization comes out on top because it's the practical performance that teaches you something. You won't get better or stronger at squatting by simply doing leg presses, leg extensions, or just training the muscles you use in a squat in different movements. You need to practice the squat itself as a task because It's a skill that you develop and get better at the more you do the specific movement, not how much you train the specific muscle. Of course, you need, and it will help you by adding accessory movements for the muscles included as such, but don't rely on the muscle solely. But listen closely. There's a difference between doing something and practicing something. If you want to become better at something, you won't do that by just doing it more often. You want to practice it more often. Meaning practicing parts about a lift that is lacking in technique, even with a slightly easier load. Going back to my main message, find a balance. I've been comparing specialization and variation, but when I say find a balance, I mean it in a more broad sense. Find a balance, not just between variation, specialization, but also with frequency, intensity, volume. Same with the factors outside the gym. You want a balance in your sleep schedule, your dietary schedule, meaning you want to recover as effective as possible. This is also one of the reasons I love power building, because it's a fine balance between practicing and training for both strength and hypertrophy. So I want to finish off today's video with this. A quote and expression that we actually use in occupational therapy. It's like this: learning by doing. That describes that you have to do and practice something practically and in a physical context and environment to adapt and master it. It's not enough to read or learn something theoretical without applying it to the real world. This also connects the dots quite well of today's takeaway within the training aspects as well. I hope you enjoyed today's talk, and I'll see you on the next one.